when the Olympics are coming to town, a city works to put its best foot forward, to look good and clean for tourists, athletes, and media from around the world. But when the Olympic torch arrives in the French city of Marseille Wednesday, things could look pretty trashy if this isn't picked up first. It's part of a labor dispute between French garbage collectors and the government that pays them. The workers say police are getting a bonus as they'll have a bigger workload with millions of tourists in France for the games. Because the trash collectors will also have more to deal with, they want a similar payout. The local government in Marseille says it has offered them bonuses depending on how much extra work they have to do. But because some union members didn't like the terms of the deal, this is the result. Locals agree it looks bad. Some who support the collectors say they ought to get the payment they've demanded. Some of their critics say this has happened several times and that it's not fair the town should suffer with garbage because of a labor dispute. One big question is whether this will happen in Paris during the Olympics themselves, as one union has threatened. Hi, I'm Carl Azuz, bringing your midweek edition of The World from A to Z. From France, we're traveling to Russia for our next story, where Russian President Vladimir Putin was sworn in Tuesday for his 5th term in office. The United States and many European Union countries boycotted the event. Their relationship with Russia was fractured when it launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine more than 2 years ago. And critics of President Putin's re-election say the vote in March wasn't carried out fairly. At his inauguration yesterday, the longtime Russian leader said it's up to Western countries to seek cooperation and peace.
The grand ceremony inside the Kremlin. Those attending cheering him on as he ascends to a record 5th term as Russia's leader. As President of the Russian Federation, I swear to respect and protect the rights and freedoms of people and citizens, to respect and protect the Constitution of the Russian Federation, to protect the sovereignty, independence, safety, and integrity of the state, to loyally serve people, he swore, while once again blaming the West for deteriorating ties with Moscow. Putin urging the West to halt military support for Ukraine as he himself continues to send hundreds of thousands of his own citizens to fight there. More than ever, Vladimir Putin's presidency is defined by war, greeting his troops as part of the inauguration events. His position strengthened, his power nearly unchecked after a landslide victory in recent presidential elections. Putin has made clear he does not intend to change course or to back down. Russia's constitution says Putin could remain in power for another 12 years, but that is just on paper. In today's Russia, Putin makes the rules and steers this country in the direction he wants. From Pleitgen, Berlin.
On this date in world history. Today is VE Day, or Victory in Europe Day, the date in 1945 when World War II ended on the continent. Nazi Germany had signed its unconditional surrender, and German troops laid down their arms. People took to the streets to celebrate the end of the fighting that saw tens of millions lose their lives. VE Day celebrations continue across Europe today. On this date in 1927, French war heroes Charles Nungesser and Francois Colli boarded a biplane, hoping to make the world's first non-stop flight between Paris, France, and New York City. Their plane, the White Bird, was last seen flying over Ireland, but mysteriously disappeared afterward. No one knows what happened. 2 weeks after that, American aviator Charles Lindbergh became the first to fly that route non-stop. And on May 8, 1886, American chemist John Pemberton sold a jug of his latest medicine to a pharmacy in Atlanta, Georgia. It was marketed as a cure-all to treat a wide array of ailments. While it didn't last as a medicine, it did do well as the soft drink we now know as Coca-Cola.
Word of knowledge. What was the name of the space shuttle that launched on mission STS-1 in 1981? Enterprise, Atlantis, Discovery, Columbia. Though the Enterprise orbiter was tested in the 1970s, it didn't have engines or a heat shield. The first shuttle mission was carried out by Colombia.
Well, we mentioned yesterday that Boeing Starliner spacecraft was ready to blast off Monday night and scheduled to do that after we'd produced Tuesday's show. But it didn't. Officials say there was a problem with a rocket valve shortly before launch that forced them to scrub or postpone it, and NASA says it could be a few days or longer before it tries again to send Starliner and its crew of 2 to the International Space Station. The Starliner program has seen a lot of setbacks and delays on its quest to bring people to space. The manager of Boeing's Commercial Crew Program says design and development has a lot of ups and downs, but the overall slope is up. The next attempt could be on Friday or Saturday. There are different demands being made by demonstrators on U.S. college campuses and those in some other countries, but one thing uniting many pro-Palestinian protesters is their call for colleges to stop dealing with companies that do business with Israel. It's having an impact on some graduations.
Protests over the Israel-Hamas war now colliding with college commencement season.
Campus is operating on like 10%, 5%, and we're still paying full tuition and watching all of this unfold and not getting graduation too.
More than 2,300 people have been arrested on college and university campuses since April 18th. On Monday, Columbia University, an epicenter of the demonstrations, announced the cancellation of a campus-wide commencement ceremony scheduled for May 15th and will hold smaller, school-based events due in part to security concerns. Other schools across the country have also adjusted graduation plans or heightened security. The University of Southern California canceled its main stage commencement, which typically brings together 65,000 students and their families. Emory University announced Monday it would move a scaled-down university-wide commencement off of its Atlanta campus.
And a House panel on Wednesday will hold a hearing focused on George Washington University's response to encampments and protests. Washington, D.C.'s mayor and police chief are among those scheduled as witnesses. In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
Graduation season and testing season coincide at the end of the academic year with standardized tests, presentations, final exams. How can you better address the stress of tests?
The anxiety that some students feel at test time can have a number of negative and physical effects. Experts say those can include stomach aches, headaches, or the increased tendency to snap at your friends or your little brother. Students dealing with these issues might procrastinate, withdraw, or even isolate themselves to study. But health officials say there are some things you can do to help get through the stress. 1. Try practicing a presentation in front of a parent or close friend. Make sure you build in some free time to break up the monotony of studying. Talk with a parent or a mentor about how you're holding up, and listen to other students who want to discuss that with you. Licensed therapists say the important thing to keep in mind is that there's nothing wrong with feeling nervous over this challenging part of the year, and that learning to recognize it and deal with it in a healthy way can help make students more resilient overall. And that's a skill you can carry with you far beyond the tests you're taking now. For the World from A to Z, I'm Lindsay Wolfgang Mast.
America's Dairyland are 2 words that appear on many license plates from Wisconsin, and that's where we start today's World of Viewers in the village of Prairie Farm. Mr. Fettig's class is watching from Prairie Farm Middle School. Let's go Panthers! Meantime, in the town of Bernalillo, New Mexico, it's the Spartans who are online at Spartan Learning Academy. Mr. Chacho's class, great to see you this Wednesday. And from the Granite State of New Hampshire, we'd never take Miss Burke's and Miss Count's classes for granted. From Merrimack High School, welcome to the Tomahawks in the town of Merrimack. For our last segment today, a moose on the loose in the lightest of hues. Not sure that worked, but this video from Canada does to show you an albino moose and a more typical brown one in rural Alberta. Why it crossed the road doesn't matter as much as its rare color. It's reported that only 1 in every 20,000 moose is totally white. And a person who recorded this video says the animal's seen by North American indigenous people as a sign of good luck. It's no bull to say it's elk-sighting, dear. When a muscular mammal through the moose appears, he could star in a play and call it a musical. A moose watch a moose meant both magical and moostical. I'm Carl a Moose, and I gotta get a moose on, but we hope you're a moose and will spend most of your remaining school days watching The World from A to Z.